Hello everyone, this is Dr. John Wohar coming to you today from Wohar Chiropractic Health Center in Menneson, PA. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about, in light of the recent national panic here over the coronavirus, I wanted to just give you some knowledge about your immune system and how we are not defenseless against things like the coronavirus, the flu, influenza, the H1N1, anything that comes down the pike, that we have a mechanism to defend ourselves. And what I find sorely lacking from the 24/7 coverage on the news these days, which is all they seem to be talking about, is a lack of hope for people. They're locking us up in our homes. They're telling us not to go out. They're telling us not to avoid contact with everyone around us, especially the elderly. But they're really not giving us ideas as far as what can we do to strengthen our bodies against things like the coronavirus and whatever else is going to come. I think I always try to get people thinking that you have to have a philosophy about life. You have to have a philosophy that guides what you do. The philosophy is always the why behind the what. And if you lack a philosophy, I think it's easy to be led into fear, led into all kinds of different things, led into the panic that we're seeing in the stores and throughout this country. I always go with my basic philosophy is in life is, first of all, we are the crown of creation. We are created by a loving God who exists beyond time, and who, before we were the first human ever walked this planet, God could look into the future and knew what the future would hold for us, and knew the types of things that we would, as humans, be coming in contact with. This is why I believe that we didn't have to wait until the 20th century for the pharmaceutical industry to come along to have a means of protecting our bodies against the various illnesses and the various germs that we coexist with on this planet. To me, that would be unreasonable to what I call the creator of the universe principle, that a loving God would create man, put him on this earth with all the other creatures on this planet, and yet not equip us to be able to heal our bodies and to coexist with all the germs and other things that inhabit this world with us. So what did God give us to prepare us and to strengthen our bodies to fight against foreign invaders that come into our body? He gave us medicinal plants, and he gave us real food, whole foods that would strengthen our bodies. And he gave us an amazing system called the immune system, in which we can form antibodies against any invader that comes in contact with our bodies. So as long as we obey natural law, eat real foods, natural foods in their natural state, our bodies are supplied with the nutrients that we need to maintain and to feed the troops, so to speak, to fight these battles that we're going to be faced with this year, next year, the year after, until the day we die. We're going to always be confronted with germs and bacteria and whatever. That's why I kind of find it, I'm not saying not to practice good hygiene and not to do all the hand wiping and washing and wiping counters and all that. But think about it, prior to a month ago, how much were you worried about that? Were you worried about that at the grocery store? Were you worried about that at the money people handed you when they gave you change to any of the stores you purchased things with? We're constantly in contact with all kinds of germs, everywhere. How about the hospital workers, nurses and doctors, and people that are constantly in contact with the sickest of the sick in nursing homes and hospitals? They're always being confronted with germs. And so how do they exist? Like, who would want that job if it was just a question of mere exposure to bacteria, mere exposure to viruses, and you're going to be sick? Like, you don't have a means of defending yourself against that. So I want to just give you a few ideas as far as, first of all, like some basic knowledge about how your immune system works. And we're going to watch a short video of your immune system in action, and then show you some things that you can do to strengthen your immune system. Something that kind of annoyed me last week when I was watching Fox in the morning as I was working out was they had one of their medical consultant, this woman doctor. Those of you that watch Fox will know who I'm referring to. And she had 6 mothers on the show with her, and she was asking them how they were defending their family against the coronavirus and what steps they were taking. Well, 5 of them, it was pretty much, I'm wiping the counters, keeping my kids indoors, and we're not going anywhere, and that whole thing of lock yourself up and the avoiding any social contact type thing. But the 6th woman said very intuitively, she said, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm feeding my family lots of fruits and vegetables, and I'm giving them extra vitamin D and vitamin C. And Amesy Earhart, the host, turned to the doctor and said, well, doctor, what do you think? Do you think that's a good idea? Should we be taking extra vitamins to strengthen our immune system? And to me, it was like a legit question, which almost didn't even need an answer. It was kind of like common sense. And the doctor turns to her and says, no, I don't think that's necessary. All you need to do is eat a good diet, whatever that is, and maybe take a multiple. And other than that, just wash your hands frequently, and that's all you really have to do. Well, I thought, wow, she really invalidated that woman, first of all. And second of all, offered nothing in terms of what could you do better than what that lady offered, which I thought was very good. And she offered nothing better. I would have said, hey, that's pretty intuitive. This woman has definitely done her homework because she knows that vitamin C is antiviral. It strengthens your white blood cells to fight viruses, as does vitamin D, strengthens your immune system. It's been, both of those vitamins have been known to be actually helpful in your body's attempt to rid itself of viruses, bacteria, and cancer cells that are constantly being formed in your body. I said I would have added to that, and there's some medicinal herbs that you could do. You can do aloe vera, you can do elderberry, you can do astragalus, echinacea, St. John's wort, andrographis, golden seal. There's several herbs that have very potent immune stimulating activities, especially antiviral. Echinacea and St. John's wort both have the ability to penetrate hard enveloped viruses and to neutralize them. So I would have said that, and then in addition, I would have said, and if you want to go a step further, which really should be your first step, I get all the sugar out of the house. Get rid of the cookies, the cakes, all the junk, all the pop, get it out. That's the biggest immune buster that you could possibly put in your body. But instead it was nothing. It was like, no, you don't need any vitamins, you don't need minerals, just eat your balanced diet, which everybody that we ever speak with here at the office, everybody eats a good diet. Just ask them, they'll tell you. So anyway, let's move on. And I want to show you next, like how your immune system works. And I'm going to first take from Guyton's Medical Physiology. This is the 11th edition. This is like the Bible that you use in all the medical schools. Pretty much use Guyton's as the authority on physiology, which is the study of how your body works. And what Guyton says in this chapter on the immune system, how you form antibodies by plasma cells. Plasma meaning blood cells. That you have immature blood cells in your body that are just waiting to be programmed. They're kind of like the reserve troops, like why we put troops in the neutral zone next to the neutral zone in Korea and Germany and throughout the world. They're not there engaging in war, but they're ready to engage in war. So you have in your lymphoid tissue these plasma cells. And if a white blood cell, a B lymphocyte, it says, comes in contact with a foreign antigen, it immediately goes up to that antigen, it sends a probe into that antigen, and it reads its DNA and withdraws and then forms a specific antibiotic, anti-life chemical to destroy that particular antigen, virus or bacteria or cancer cell. And so, then what happens next is even more amazing. That plasma cell then goes and becomes what they call a plasmablast, and then it goes to your lymphoid tissues like your spleen, your lymph nodes, your thymus gland, and it starts passing on the information of, hey, there's a foreigner, the fortress has been breached, here's the enemy, here's what it looks like, and here's how you kill it. And then immediately, these immature plasmablasts, cells sitting in your lymphoid tissues, become programmed now to kill that specific virus or bacteria, and they start to go through a rapid replication where every 10 hours those cells reproduce. So if we look over here at the whiteboard, Carl Rove isn't the only one that carries around the whiteboard. You see the one cell becomes 2, the 2 become 4, and this is every 10 hours. Boom, boom, boom. So over 4 days, every one cell becomes 512 killer lymphocytes, killer cells to destroy whatever bacteria or virus is in the body. And it says that each of those cells is producing 2,000 molecules of antibiotic per second, not per minute, not per hour, and not per day, per second. 2,000 molecules of antibiotic. Now, would you say that's like an okay system for the immune system to protect you? Or would you say it's maybe a little better than okay? Or how about that's like amazingly awesome system that we have to produce antibiotics to protect ourselves from things like that? So that's right out of Guyton's Physiology. I think that's super duper important. And actually I want to show you now a little video, if I can get it here to fire up for us. And this is on, you can look this up on YouTube and just type in macrophage eating bacteria, and you'll see this and several other things. But let's just see if we can pull this up and get this started. Oh, please do this for me. All right, why is it not doing that? All right, there we go. Here comes the white blood cell, and this is a colony of bacteria. Now it looks like Pac-Man having a feast here, and here it comes again. All those little black dots were bacteria. I thought that was pretty amazing. So then those are called, now it's showing you what a macrophage is and how a macrophage works. So I'm not going to show the whole video. Let me see if I can stop it. I'm going to pause it. Here's another one showing a white blood cell destroying a bacteria right here. It just eats it up. It's like yum yum, eat them up for you Little Rascal fans. Okay. So the macrophage attaches itself to the bacteria, the virus, takes it in, pulls it in, and just destroys it. So again, look this up on YouTube. Show this to everybody in your family and say, you know what, there's hope. You do have a mechanism. God didn't abandon you and put you on this earth without a means of protecting yourself. I'm going to go here now to like some of the things that we can do to then supercharge your immune system. First of all, I don't want to, most people don't think of this, but chiropractic has been shown to be a major booster of the immune system by its effect on the nervous system. And we have an article here which shows you 10 important studies showing how chiropractic influences your immune system and how it strengthens you. I'm just going to give you a short taste of this, and then we're going to post this to the Facebook page so you can actually read the whole article. But the things I want to tell you that are, I think, are important is, and I hate to read, but I'm going to just read just a little bit to you. The coronavirus, flu, or other viral pandemics are often compared to the St. Louis 1918 Spanish flu epidemic. This 1918 flu infected and killed radically more people than any similar outbreak in history, killing many Americans and riddling the country with fear. Does that sound familiar? It has been estimated that 20 million people died throughout the world, 20 million, including about 500,000 in the U.S. In the midst of the Spanish flu epidemic, the healthcare community discovered that the death rate of chiropractic patients was radically lower than that of non-chiropractic patients. In fact, it was chiropractic success in caring for the Spanish flu victims that led to the profession's licensure in many states. Prior to this event, many states did not have a Chiropractic Practice Act, and chiropractors were often thrown into jail for practicing medicine without a license. But because of what happened throughout this thing here, people then lobbied for chiropractic to be licensed so that chiropractors could practice freely without the fear of being thrown into jail. During the 1918 flu, researchers in Davenport, Iowa found that out of 93,590 patients treated by medical doctors, there were 6,116 deaths, a loss of one patient out of every 15. Chiropractors at the Palmer School of Chiropractic adjusted 1,635 cases with only one death. Outside Davenport, chiropractors in Iowa cared for 4,735 cases with only 6 deaths, 1 out of 866 patients. During that same epidemic in Oklahoma, out of 3,490 flu patients under chiropractic care, there were only 7 deaths. Furthermore, chiropractors were called in 233 cases given up as lost after medical treatment had failed and reportedly saved all but 25. In another report covering 4,193 cases by 213 chiropractors, 4,104 showed complete recovery. These results are part of the proven critical link between the body's central nervous system and the immune system. And then we're going to jump ahead to one more, because I remember this one when I came out of school. This was in the 1980s, where Dr. Ronald Perot, a PhD, Chief of Cancer Prevention Research at New York's Preventive Medicine Institute, that was Sloan Kettering, I believe at the time, professor of medicine at New York University, he showed the positive effect that chiropractic care can have on the immune system and general health. He did immune markers of people that were under chiropractic care as opposed to the general population, and he had 3 groups, and the third group were those with cancer or other serious diseases. His initial study was of 107 individuals who had been under chiropractic care for 5 years or more. The chiropractic patients were found to have a 200% greater immune competence than those people who had not received chiropractic care, and they had a 400% greater immune competence than those people with cancer and other serious diseases. The immune system superiority of those under chiropractic care did not appear to diminish with age. Dr. Perot stated, "When applied in a clinical framework, I have never seen a group other than this chiropractic group to experience a 200% increase over the normal patients. This is why it is so dramatically important. We have never seen such a positive improvement in any group." So the rest of this you can read. It'll be posted, and I encourage you to do so. Sometimes chiropractic is ridiculed. I recently saw some video on where this person that knew nothing about chiropractic was making fun of, chiropractors that say they can help your immune system and keep your kids from being sick. Oh, that's a bunch of bogus. Actually, that's not bogus. That's been shown in several studies. So that's like part of the whole program. I'm not saying just go get adjusted and go walk into like a leper colony and you're going to be fine. But getting adjusted does help boost your immune system. Let's go to what else can. The Science Behind Aloe by Dr. Bill McCauley. He has a chapter here towards the end of the book on aciminin, macrophages and viral infections. His last chapter is on aciminin, macrophages, and cancer. And, excuse me, and aciminin, by the way, is the active ingredient in aloe vera. So it's a polysaccharide. It's a long-chain a mucopolysaccharide. It's fatty in the sugar molecule, but that is found that that's the immune activating. That's the ingredient in aloe vera that gives it all its amazing healing properties. So I'm just going to jump ahead. He actually talks about here how about antiviral medication. He says all antiviral drugs are toxic at any concentration. The current drug treatment is becoming less effective due to drug-resistant infectious agents. In fact, in order to maintain the effectiveness in managing infections, a lethal dose is often required, making the drug useless. This has spurred the search for new natural antiviral remedies. So basically, they're saying here that the antiviral drugs up until this point have been so toxic that they have a greater chance of killing the patient before they kill the virus. So that's why you'll get antibiotics for bacterial infections, but there are very few antiviral medications. And that's the big search now. They're telling us we have to all go in our houses, lock ourselves up, and wait for the pharmaceutical industry to come up with some miraculous antiviral medication that will now protect us from the dread, the dread pirate Roberts or the dread coronavirus here. So he talks about some of the medicinal plants that have very promising activities against viruses, and 2 of them I just want to throw out was geranium, and that those of you that are using oils, you can use your geranium oil as part of your, like maybe, I don't know if that's in Thieves or some of the other ones, the doTERRA equivalent to Thieves. Also elderberry extract, which is something that my daughter Angela has been pushing and promoting here for a good time. So we're going to grow more elderberry in our garden this year, in addition to our other things that we do. In his summary here, he says that we have these polysaccharide fractions of these medicinal plants have gained importance in research due to both their safety and efficacy. These saccharides can stimulate the immune system to provide a wide range of beneficial and therapeutic effects. A prime example of these saccharides is acetaminophen. This polymannan can effectively stimulate the immune system to destroy viruses and prevent the adhesion, penetration, absorption, and replication of viruses. So I think that's pretty amazing for aloe vera, which we have been promoting here I've been promoting it for almost 30 years. Since I've been drinking aloe, and also making the lifestyle change of minimizing sugar. I'm not saying we cut sugar out 100%, but we try to be a 90%er with sugar and really minimize the refined carbohydrates that we consume. So if you're trying to do what's right 90% of the time, I think you can amazingly strengthen your immune system. And I have to say, since I've been drinking aloe these past 30 years, I honestly don't get cold, fever, flu. I haven't had anything to speak of throughout that time period. My wife, who's also, when we were younger, we used to tell each other, she coughed all the time. I was always sick with sore throats, and she always had this constant cough. And then we would tell each other when we were dating, we'd say, oh, you have sick breath. You must be getting sick. And you could tell, like, when a child's going to get sick or something, their breath gets real bad. We called it acetone breath. You would get this, like, nasty smell to your breath. It almost smelled like chemically. And you'd say you'd have sick breath. And sure enough, it was like coming, and then next thing you know, there was like full-blown sick with something. Cold, fever, flu, sore throats, whatever. And I don't think she has told me that, and I haven't told her that in over 25 years. I can't even remember the last time that she or I had sick breath or that we came down with something. And I don't think that that's just good luck, bad luck type thing. I think that's good planning or bad planning. The idea that something's going to come across this country and nobody's going to suffer from that. I mean, I have some ideas. People ask me, what do you think about the coronavirus? And if you listen to the news, they're bewildered. Why is this affecting old people? Why is it not affecting the young people so much, like children and younger people? It's really in Italy, the majority of the people that died, the average age of those that have died from the corona flu thing have been 81 years old. So you think about, well, what is it about older people? Is it just simply the fact that they're getting old is why they're more susceptible? Or how about the suppression of their immune systems? How many older people that you have in your family are taking multiple medications, like for years upon years? And one of the ones that I think is one of the most damaging are the statin drugs, because the statin drugs have a major effect on the liver as far as suppressing liver function. They're trying to stop the liver from producing cholesterol, but also beyond that, when somebody's on statin drugs, the doctor usually monitors their liver enzymes to see if we've ruined the liver yet. And as long as the liver still seems to be functioning reasonably well, we continue with the statin drugs. I'm going to recommend you to, in that regard, to Dr. David Brownstein, his book on the deadly statins at his website, drbrownstein.com. But my theory here with the older people is most of them are taking statin drugs as well as many other medications. And what is the effect on their liver? One of the functions from the last class that I gave you on the liver, which it's on our Facebook page as well, I said one of the 5 basic functions of the liver is to produce plasma proteins. Okay, so plasma proteins, like we talked about here, plasma cells, but plasma proteins from the liver, there are 2 major types. And the second type, which we spoke about in that class, was the immunoglobulins. So globulin is a type of protein, so the liver produces immunoglobulins. And there are several types of immunoglobulins which help activate your immune system: IgA, IgC, IgM, IgE. And these immunoglobulins are very, very important to maintain a healthy immune system. So what would you say would happen to a person as they're taking, multiple meds, and especially a drug that has its primary effect. And I have a Dr. Anthony Goodman, who is on YouTube as well. If you go to his class at the University of Montana Medical School, teaching this, and in his class on the liver, and he says, oh yeah, these wonderful medications that can poison the liver, his words, just enough so that you produce only the amount of cholesterol that your body needs. And I love that because he actually said that in the class, poison the liver just enough. So if this group in our population has been poisoning their livers for years, why would you not think that their immune system would be suppressed and depressed, and why would they not be more vulnerable? And so then this idea that, oh, well, what about all the younger people? Now we're getting cases of younger people. Do you know any young people out there that maybe don't do the best as far as taking care of their bodies? Does anybody know any college students that maybe drink excessively, or people beyond college in the 20 to 40 millennials that don't drink excessively, don't take illicit drugs, recreational drugs, don't eat maybe a well-balanced diet that includes a lot of fruits and vegetables, that maybe are just living on fast food and peanut butter and jelly and whatever? So yeah, the idea that nobody should get this, that there's like an assumption that everybody out there is completely healthy, and then this wicked, evil coronavirus comes and just whacks like all the healthy people. I'm not buying it, I'm sorry. I feel like this country has been abusing itself in many ways through food, alcohol, cigarettes, and everything else for decades upon decades. And the younger generation is the worst of all. Like if you look at children today, their unwillingness and the parents' unwillingness to make sure that children eat a variety of vegetables and fruit, they are just building a weaker and weaker and weaker immune system. And so certainly these people are going to be the ones that they're going to be much more susceptible to coronavirus, which is the virus of the month here. Like the employee of the month, this is the virus of the year, and next year it'll be something else, and the year after it'll be something else. And so I'm just going to leave you with this thought. You think about these epidemics and things, they come on a regular basis. And I was reading a little bit today about the Black Death, the Black Plague in Europe, that the estimates range from the Black Death killed anywhere from 30 to 50% of the population, and some authors say it killed in different times, and it came at different outbreaks, that as much as 70 to 80% of the population was wiped out by the Black Plague. So the takeaway here is it didn't kill 100%. It might have killed even as high as 80%, but 20% survived. And the 20% that survived now had immunity. And that immunity then was passed along as they then reproduced and repopulated the different areas in Europe. That next generation now had immunity towards that. So all of these things come through. They don't kill anybody. They pretty much pick off the weak amongst us. And that's just nature's way. I heard a doctor on Fox the other night say, they were asking him, Tucker Carlson, like, give us some hope, give us some hope. Like, what is out there? What are the new treatments coming down the road? What is the pharmaceutical medical industry trying to do to fight this, war? And he goes, well, one of the things we're looking at is taking the plasma from the young people, the ones that have already had the coronavirus and have beat it. Literally, it came and they dealt with it. It wasn't very bad, and their bodies beat it. Now they have immunity. So we thought, there's a technique that you can take their plasma and they can then inject it into people at risk and now pass along them the immunity that these younger people had already achieved. And I thought, well, why don't we just help the older people improve their own immunity and their own immune systems? But it's kind of been silent on that front. So anyway, just wrapping it up here today, I wanted to speak to you because this has been something that's on a lot of people's minds. Everybody's fearful, locking themselves in their house. And as a final thought, a very intuitive young man the other day that's not, somewhat knowledgeable about his body, he said, one of the things about this fear thing, they get everybody home all hyped up and getting them all stressed out and fearful, is you're getting this adrenal response, like an alarm reaction, because of this constant 24/7 bombardment about how that's the end of the world as we know it. And so what happens when your adrenal glands start producing boatloads of cortisol, one of the effects, that's part of Hans Selye's triad of stress, that when your stress response is your adrenal glands pump out cortisol, the effect is adrenal hyperstimulation, immune system suppression by the steroids, by the cortisol, and intestinal tract ulceration. So the high levels of cortisol, it depresses the immune system even more. So getting your mind right is going to be very important to also getting your immune system strong here. So we gave you a few things here, getting yourself adjusted. Aloe vera, which we have boatloads of here. Some of the other immune things that I mentioned, echinacea, angiographiscus, if you can get them. Vitamin C, standard process, we're having a hard time getting some of the supplements. We're trying daily to get them in, but everybody's pounding, the supplement companies for the antiviral and the things that are immune boosters. So we're doing our best to keep that on hand, but if nothing else, if all else fails, we still got tons of aloe. So with that, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to get my shot here somewhere. I brought my aloe juice, and I want to, before I go, have my 3 to 4 ounces of aloe, then I'll be heading home. We're going to be here as long as we are physically able. This office will not be closed unless the state police are blocking the door one day when I show up. So until then, stay safe, build yourself up, be strong, and be courageous, and let go of the fear. All will be well. This is Dr. John signing off. Take care.